Hello, Sophie here, yet again. This is part 3 of a 4-part series all about making an animated 3D horse skeleton in grease pencil. So if you haven't watched part 1 and 2 already, I definitely urge you to go check out those before you watch this. And if you already have, then you know what's going on and we'll just dive right into it. So this is a really exciting step because with very little effort, we get to bring our horse skeleton to life. So before we dive in, there's one last thing we need to do to our rib cage. So maybe you noticed after yesterday's video, the absolute chaos that was the rib cage if you tried to scrub along the timeline. This is because how the rib cage was parented to the rig has to do with the vertex groups, but when we knife projected, this created a whole new set of vertices where the mesh was cut. And so we just want to make sure that these new vertices belong to the proper vertex group. And so all you need to do is select your cut rib cage, go into edit mode, go into object data properties here, and then you can just hit A to select everything. Then select the vertex group that says DEF chest, and then select assign. And so the very first step is we need to properly isolate each bone. So for the forelimb and the rear limb, we want there to be a separate grease pencil stroke object for the left side and the right side. So I'll hide the rig for now. So we'll start with F0, our shoulder blade. And what we want to do is just hit Shift D to duplicate it, and then right click. And then we'll just select one of the F0s. And then in the modifier properties window, we'll just hit the X to remove this modifier. And so now we have the shoulder blade on the right side isolated. And then for the other one in the modifiers, we want to press this drop-down menu and click apply. And then tab to go into edit mode. And then just select all of the strokes on one of the sides and hit delete. And now if we go back into object mode, we can see that the left side of the shoulder blade has also been isolated. And then we can just rename them. I like to add a little R or a L at the end of them for left or right. So now I'll do this for the rest of the foreleg. Just keep in mind while you do this somewhat painful step that we are going to get Blender to animate for us. And so once we get this set up, which should really only take a few minutes, we will have a grease pencil animation without having needed to redraw a single frame. And I think that's definitely worth it. So for part of the rear leg, I drew some strokes of the bones on both the left side and the right side. So if I turn off the mirror modifier, you can see there's some on each side. So not a huge deal. For these, I'll just need to apply the modifier for both sides and then go into edit mode, and for one, delete the strokes on one of the sides, and for the other, delete the strokes on the other side. All right, we have each bone as its own grease pencil object. So now, the only way I found to animate grease pencil strokes without actually needing to redraw frames is to use the bone relative of a rig. So we'll select our shoulder blade, and then we'll make our rig visible again, and then we'll shift select our rig, tab to go into pose mode. I'll click anywhere to unselect everything. So they're a bit tricky to see, but you can see there's all of these circles and lines and cubes and stuff that have to do with the rig and how it moves. And so basically we're just, for each grease pencil object, there's a specific one of these elements that we can press and parent it to that specifically for it to follow the animation as we would expect. But for the shoulder blade, it's this shape that it's very much in line with the shoulder blade. It's like a long, slightly tapered rectangle. So I'll select that and then tap to go back into object mode, and then right click, select parent, and then we're going to parent the bone relative. And so this is the logic behind all of the animation that we'll be doing today. And of course, keep in mind that for the mirrored bones, the arm and the leg bones, it's just the same on the other side. So for the right shoulder blade, if we shift select the rig again, tab into pose mode, you can see it's the exact same shape on the other side. So we want to select that and only that, go back into object mode, right click, and in parent, parent to bone relative. Woohoo! Ah, so exciting. And so for the humerus, it is this gear shape between the scapula and the humerus. And then for F2, it is this dark blue series of circles that make a sphere. You can see them here. And then for F3, the foot bone, you want to use this circle that also has arrows all around it. You can see that here. And for F4, it is this shape at the bottom, right at the base of the feet. All right, we have the front leg down and animating. So now we can move on to the back leg. And so for the pelvis, what we want to select is this circle that encircles the whole abdomen. And then for R1, so like F1, we also want the gear icon at the top of the femur. And then for R2, it's the same dark blue series of circles that make a sphere, like for the front. And then for R3, the rear foot bones, same as the front, the circle with the arrows coming out of it. And then for R4, the toe bones, like the front toes, it's the shape at the very bottom of the leg. Looking great so far. So for the skull bone, we'd want to choose this one, this circle around the skull. If you're someone who drew the jaw separately, the top and the bottom of the skull in their own grease pencil objects, then you would parent just the top of the skull to this circle, and you would want to parent the jaw, let me hide the meshes for now, to this green circle. And so for the spine, we'll separate it into 4 sections. And so we'll just Shift D and right click 3 times to create 4 versions. And so for each of these versions, we'll go into edit mode, select A, and delete everything, except for the first version, of course. And then for the first version, we'll go into edit mode. And then up here, making sure vertex select is selected, we'll just select around the spines of the neck. And then we'll press Ctrl C to copy them, and then delete, and to delete the points. And then we'll go back into object mode. And then in our first duplicate, we'll go into edit mode and then press Ctrl V. And so we'll also do this going back into the first spine object, go into edit mode, and now we'll select the spines between the shoulder blades. Ctrl C to copy, delete the points. And then we'll go into our second duplicate, go into edit mode and Ctrl V to paste. And back in our first spine object, this time we'll select everything up to about the pelvis. And so we'll lasso it, Ctrl C to select, delete the points, go into object mode, and in our last duplicate, go into edit mode and then Ctrl V. And then we can select the spine of the neck. We'll name it spine 1. The one just after that between the shoulder blades, we'll rename spine 2. Spine 3 will be the spines of the back. And then spine 4 will be just after the pelvis. And then for spine 1, the neck spines, we want to use this circle that goes around the neck. For the spine 2, between the shoulder blades, we want to use this big circle that encircles the shoulder blades. For spine 3 of the back, we want to do this circle at the middle of the rib cage, encircling those spines. And then for spine 4, we want to use this big box at the rear of the horse. So I think I'll just go into spine 3. We could see this section should really be in the spine 4 section. So I'll go back to frame 1. I'll go into edit mode, select those spines, Ctrl C to copy, delete the points, go into spine 4, edit mode, and paste them. Last but not least, we have the rib cage. We want to use the same circle as we did for the spines of the back. Looking good. So, very last thing, sometimes there can be some funny stuff that happens with the protuberance of bones. You can see for the F2, the other bones are all looking okay. So I think we'll just quickly fix that by going back to frame 1. And then we can select our mesh that have our limbs, go into sculpt mode, And then you can see that the different areas of our mesh have different colors because they started as different objects and were joined together. So we can hover over the area we want and hit H to hide everything else. And then we can click this button up here to make our sculpting be mirrored on both sides. And then we can select the smooth tool here, and then we'll just smooth down this protuberance a bit. So I'm glad that we had this protuberance to start with, because this gave us something for us to draw our grease pencil strokes on top of. But now that it's acting a bit funny with the animation, I just prefer to shrink it down. And you know, some of the strokes may overlap one another a little bit, but I still think we have a really great looking animated grease pencil horse skeleton. And I am so excited to see what we're gonna get at the end of this. Thank you so much for being here. You can find me everywhere at Sophie Jantak. If you'd like me to see what you've made, definitely please tag me on Instagram or Twitter. I would love to see it. And that is it for today. I will see you very, very soon. Bye. Forgot screencast keys.